Amy Thurman back again with 100 Days, 100 Emotions. We're on day 47 today. We're talking about fear, and this is one of those that it's going to be good. This is one of those emotions that when I ask people name 5 emotions, or when I ask people to name an emotion, they usually will name one of 5. And this is one that people can easily identify because we experience it so often. It's one of those that people know, people have felt, and you know when you're experiencing fear for the most part. Remember that there's a whole series of these, and so if you would like to catch the others, go to hashtag 100 days 100 emotions. That's the numerical number 100, streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you would like to be a guest, I would love to get you plugged in. We can find an emotion that works for you, and you can be my special guest and tell a story in your life about when you have experienced that emotion. I have something exciting in store for my guest that I have not shared yet, and it's something that you definitely want to be a part of. So if you're interested in this at all, please send me a message or comment, and I will get you plugged in. Okay, so let's get into this today. Let's talk about fear and how it relates to our bodies. I want to introduce you to Yulia. Yulia and I have met on online. This is our first time ever to chat, and so I'm excited to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for being here, Yulia.
Amy, thank you so much for hosting me. It's such a pleasure. I can't think of anywhere else that I'd rather be than with you here today with your
Oh,
listeners.
that's so sweet. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get right into this. Let's talk about fear. And first of all, fear is a powerful emotion in response to a perceived threat, danger, or potential harm. It plays a crucial role in survival and is designed to prepare the body and mind to react to that threat. So it's a natural emotion, like it's there, which I say this all the time. It's there to help us, it's there to teach us something. That just recognizing it and acknowledging it's there is the first step. And so, as I said in the beginning, I really feel, excuse me, feel like fear is one of those that we all know, we all have felt, we can recognize this. But I would love to know your experience with fear, Yuli, and what it has taught you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Amy, once again. Um, I've had quite a journey with fear from a very early age. And just a bit of background about myself. So I grew up in Russia and I moved here in 1999 when I was about 12, 13 years old. Um, and at age, let's see, at age 37, I was diagnosed with ADHD, and
Yeah.
um, and so it's something that I struggled with my whole entire life. Just didn't know what was wrong with me, and I would say that what really kicked it off for me was, being in schools, being in grade school, and really struggling academically with math and science. Um, and the type of so we had a pretty interesting school system back home. It was very, very strict and very rigorous, and so the kids that were struggling or were behind, they really it was a different culture. It was a different way of I suppose teaching, but there was a lot of shame. Those kids were shamed for their struggles, and they really didn't get a lot of help. And so I was one of those kids that really struggled with math and science, and so what I learned was to not show vulnerability, and
Mm.
I developed a very healthy fear of unhealthy fear of asking for help, and basically making it known that I'm vulnerable. I don't understand something. I'm struggling. Like that was just it wasn't it wasn't a thing that was very, very common. So a lot of the times I had to hide and I had to do a lot of improvising. Fake it till you make it. Well, unfortunately, with math and science, it just was a struggle for me.
Yeah.
I had a hard time remembering things, and so I learned that I had to just pretend like I knew the answer when really I didn't. Um,
Wow.
yes, and so it showed up for me again So I'm a woman in recovery. I've been sober from drugs and alcohol for a little over 6 years, and
Congratulations.
thank you. I appreciate it. But what was happening was that was something that addiction, runs in my family, and I was struggling with addiction from age 12, 13. And again, asking for help is just, I was so afraid of looking stupid or being reprimanded for asking for help that it took me a very long time to finally admit that I couldn't do it on my own. I couldn't solve this problem, that I was struggling. And so when I found recovery in 2017, when I finally, got outside of myself and said, I can't do this, I can't solve this problem. Everything changed for me. I ultimately started to just completely reinvent and rebuild myself from ground zero.
Wow.
And that fear of ultimately not being perfect has kept me from going after the things that I really wanted in life, whether it be relationships, whether it's taking on challenges, responsibilities. In my career, even I stayed stuck, and I stayed in my comfort zone, right? So in recovery, I've gone through a lot of change and a lot of transformation, really figuring out who I am, because I struggled with being a people pleaser and just being everything to everybody, just to because I needed to be okay. When you're okay, I'm okay, right?
Right.
If I'm everything that you want me to be, then I'll be accepted, I'll be loved.
There's no
um,
conflict. Right.
there's no conflict. Exactly,
Yeah.
because of my early experiences of, like, if you make a mistake, it's not going to go over very well. So in recovery, I really developed into someone that understands, like, who I am. I understand what I want out of life, and I have dreams, and I have goals and aspirations, and making mistakes is it's a human, it's normal for humans to make mistakes, right? Inevitably,
Absolutely.
it's
Yes.
going to happen. And for me, there's no such thing as perfection, because as long as I'm human, I won't be perfect. you know
Right. Exactly.
yeah, so really accepting my humility, and understanding that everything is a learning opportunity. And you know for me, it's like going after the things that scare me. Like, that's courage. I can still be afraid, but having courage is being afraid but doing it anyway. And that's
Yes.
something that I've learned along the way, is like, um, it's okay that you don't know the unknown, right? um, and if I do the very best that I can and stay true to myself, 9 times out of 10, nine and a half times out of 10, things do work out. Things work out in really magical ways. They work
Yes.
out a lot better than I anticipated. Um,
Right.
so today, what that's been able to do for me is that I've been able to leave the corporate 9 to 5 grind. Right, it was making me so miserable. I wasn't happy working for other people and building their dreams for them. What I really wanted to do was coaching. I wanted to create transformations for people, just like the transformation that I've been able to create for myself. So I have a coaching business that I've been ramping up over the last few months. I've worked with women. I've been able to help women to change their relationships with themselves first and with other people. And there's been a lot of unknowns, a lot of discomfort, but on the other side of that is true fulfillment and being in alignment with who I am and what I want out of life. So
Absolutely.
so
Yes.
that is a little bit about kind of my background with fear. It was a lot of information. I tried to condense it.
You're
Um,
fine.
so I'm going to take a quick pause and see if you have, like, any follow-up questions, or if there's anything else that you think I should share with your audience. I'd be happy to do that.
Oh, that was so good. Because I say all the time that throughout with these emotions, with every one of them, you can take it or they can take you in one direction or the other. It's the way you respond to them that determines which direction you go with that emotion. And fear is no different. Exactly what you said. Fear can actually lead us to courage, to being courageous, or it can lead us to another path, which is even more fearful. And I can't think of the word right now, where you just are so fearful, it's overwhelming. It's slipping my mind. Anyway, you know what I mean. That there's like a line there, and so the way we respond to it is what determines which direction we go with that emotion, and we get to decide that. A lot of times we don't understand that. We think that it's happening to us, that this emotion is controlling us and we don't have any choice. But that's not the case. It feels like it in the moment. When I have been fearful, I have felt that in the moment, like I am just want to escape. I don't want to feel this. I don't have any choices here. But it's not true. When you step back and take a look at it like you did, there is always something. You always have a choice. And I want to mention also that you said that you chose to ask for help, that you were so fearful about asking for help as you grew up, but you got to the point where you felt comfortable enough, maybe not comfortable, but maybe brave enough to ask for help.
Courage, yes.
Yes, courageous enough to ask for help. And that is a completely normal thing as well. That I preach, my business is polish the mirror, going inside, finding all the answers we seek within. But sometimes we need help from other people as well. Like we were not made to exist by ourselves. We were made to exist in
100%.
relationships and to help each other. And so we need to ask for help at times too. And so I want you all watching to understand that that is completely normal too. That although I'm preaching at you all the time that look inside for the answers you seek, that's the first place you start. But sometimes it requires an extra step of asking other people for help too. Do you have anything to add to that, Yulia?
A couple of things. I think with regards to fear, for me, what's really important is that keeping front and center that my past does not have to define my future.
Yes.
And I have full control of myself. I can't control other people, places, and things. What I can control is just myself, how decisions that I make or don't make, how I respond or react to situations. Just another quick example, and actually, the reason why I decided to become a coach is because at 3 years, when I had 3 years of sobriety, I ended up in two very unhealthy relationships back to back, which sent me in a kind of a shame spiral, right? Like I'm sober, I thought how did this happen to me, right? Like I couldn't understand. And again, I found myself embarrassed and humiliated. I was embarrassed to talk to other people about what was going on with me, and again, I had to invest in myself and get the help that I needed to get the clarity that I needed on what why I was in these situations. Because at that point, I couldn't be the victim, right? I had to take responsibility and say, you know what, I got myself here. Like I need to understand why and how this happened, so that I can take myself out of the situation I'm in, and not continue to make the same mistakes moving forward. And again, asking for help literally saved my life. And it's hard to leave an unhealthy relationship. Excuse me. Once you're in it, a lot of the times people say, "Oh, why don't you just leave?" Well, guess what? It's not as simple as just leaving.
No.
So yeah, again, I was held back by fear. Well, what if I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life, and what are people going to think, and what is he going to say? And but again, it's like I have to honor my true self, and I have to step into my self-worth and say, you know what, I'm worthy of a happy, healthy life, right? Where there's respect.
Yes.
And as scary as it may seem, to start over again, or go through the discomfort of ending your relationship, I'm worthy of these things. And again, I have to tap into the courage and into the faith that I will be okay as long as I'm honoring my true self. So that's kind of the other piece that I wanted to add.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I resonate with all of that. Like everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, 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 that's exactly right. And thinking about asking for help, I think those of us who are coaches, I do think that plays a huge role, that we have been through so much and that we have learned through the journey that we have been through, that our mission is to use it to help other people. And so
Mm-hmm.
talking about how at times we need to ask for help. Sometimes you do need the help of a coach, like we are, or that other people are.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need the help of a therapist. Sometimes you need the help of just a person who will listen. There
Or
are
a
different.
community of people that understand. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so there are different avenues that you can go down. There are lots of options out there. If for some reason you need help beyond what you think you can provide yourself, you can always dial 988. They are open 24/7. They speak English and Spanish, and they will be able to point you in the right direction or talk you through what it is you need at the moment. And so know that that's
Hmm,
a resource for you as well. I want
that's
to
amazing.
pop up this question here. How does fear show up for you? When I was thinking about this, I thought fear is different for each person. Like some people, and it was what I was talking about earlier. Some people it leads to anger. Some people it leads to courage. Some people it leads to sadness. Like with me, when I experience overwhelming fear, I shut down. Like I literally am just like in a turtle shell. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
invisible here. Don't anybody even acknowledge that I'm here. And so I'm curious how fear shows up for you, Yulia.
So that's, my relationship with fear really has evolved a lot, from when I was a child, obviously, to being an adult and becoming a sober woman. It has really, really changed. So I've had the opportunity to really to tap into like introspection and question what's behind the fear. Um, so so it's a bit complicated, but I don't have a lot of fears today because I've had the ability to have clarity on like what I can change and what I cannot change. So if I can change the situation, if it is within my control, then that gives me courage to move forward and take action. The way that it's shown up for me in the past is it would paralyze me, so
Yeah.
completely like frozen in time. Like I would just not be able to make a decision. I would just be stuck, just not can't even formulate a sentence, right? Today it's like what's behind this? Why am I so afraid to have an uncomfortable conversation? Like what's behind that? So it's really peeling the layers of the onion, right, to get to the root um, of of what's behind the fear. So I really just do a lot of kind of dissecting the fear, but I have mentors, as a coach, I have coaches and I have mentors. I don't believe that I can continue to grow and solve all of my own problems without getting an outside opinion of someone who has been around for longer than I have. Um, for example. So yeah, I have women that are very close to me in my circle that I always bounce things off of. When I'm stuck in fear, for example, I'll always make some calls and pick up the phone. And really, what needs to happen is I externalize it, right? When it's just my fear and my thoughts between my two ears, like that's a pretty dangerous neighborhood.
Yep. Yeah.
So
And that's, yeah, it reminds me that through my coaching program, I do story development coaching where I help people develop their stories to be able to connect with other people, clients, or whoever they would like to connect with. And that's one of the steps that we do. We journal a lot about our emotions that we're feeling and how it has impacted our lives and how it actually is part of our story that we don't understand it to be. And so it reminds me
mhm,
of that. But I really wanted you to answer that question because I had a feeling that it was a lot different now than it was when you were explaining earlier.
mhm.
Because as we go along, the more help that we seek from other people, the more we learn to recognize and acknowledge when it's there, and that it's there for a reason. There's an underlying reason that it's showing up, and that we
Mhm.
have to look for that underlying reason. Now,
Yep.
I have a therapist that I see, and I was talking with her yesterday, and she was sharing with me, I knew this, but I have forgotten it, that how emotions feel in the body, like they usually will show up in a different area of the body. I always talk
Mhm.
about how they feel in the body, like they make us feel jittery or hot. But she was talking about, like, she asked me, I was talking to her about a specific emotion yesterday, and she said, "Where do you feel it in your body?" And I said, "It feels
Mm.
like my throat is clenching, like I can't talk."
Wow.
And so I feel like, all the emotions do that. They settle in our bodies in one way or the other. And so I feel like fear, um, we feel it in our bodies in a different place. Each person does. So if you're watching and would be willing to share where you feel fear in your body, I'd be curious to know that too. I feel it in my chest, like it feels like
Mm.
it's just caving in, like my chest is just clenching up. That's where fear settles in me for the most part. And so I'd be interested to
Mm.
know if those of you watching would like to share that. I would love to know. Oh my goodness, this is so good. So, so good. I want to transition here. I use an AI image generator to create an image that represents the emotion of the day. And I
Oh.
love these because it's like art therapy almost, where
Wow.
you can look at an image, and we've been talking about it, but almost every time when I pull this image up, we can gain something from it that we hadn't thought about before, just by looking at this image that represents this emotion. And it blows my mind. It's absolutely fascinating.
Oh wow.
So let me pull this up, and then I'll full screen it, and so we can have a better look at it and talk
Oh my
about.
goodness.
Right, I know. So
Wow.
this is what it gave me when I asked it to what represents fear. um and I'm telling you, every time it's so accurate. Like, it's interesting to me to look at this person, because this person doesn't necessarily look like the fear that I feel in my body, but
Mm.
the environment the person is standing in definitely looks like the fear I feel in my body. Um,
Mhm.
what do you gain from looking at this picture in regards to fear, Yulia?
So the first word that came to my mind is overwhelm.
Oh,
Um, because it's like he's looking at this big thing, and it could be moving. It kind of looks like it's spiraling,
yeah.
and and to me that kind of represents fear of the unknown. Um,
Yes.
so it's like it's like you don't know what's on the other side, right? And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's and that's kind of what I was thinking, is like, oh my god, oh my gosh, it's like there's a hole kind of in, it's like a black hole in the middle, right?
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like what's going to happen if I get sucked into that, right?
Yes,
Am
that's
I going to
exactly
get
what I was thinking.
swallowed up?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times, like our fear, like our reaction, our fear reaction, it's the same as if we're being attacked by a tiger. But like, are we being attacked by a tiger when we were scared of something? Most of the time, like there's no tigers to be seen, like right.
Right.
um, an uncomfortable conversation is not the same as getting my head bit off by a large animal. So, yet it feels the
Exactly.
same. I have the same
Yes.
reactions in my body. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that black hole jumped out at me too. I was just like,
Mhm.
because it's exactly what you said. Like, it's unknown. Like, do I want to go down there, or, am I choosing to stay where I am? There's, like you said, so much unknown. I could get sucked in there, but oh my goodness, just the chaos and the whirlwind and just all of that. It almost looks like flames, like those red
Mhm.
pieces almost look like flames,
It does
which,
exactly.
yeah, which also can represent fear in a lot of people too. And so it's always so interesting to me to see what everyone pulls out of these images. So if you're watching and have other interpretations, I would love to hear what you see in this image in regards to fear. Like I said, because I have learned so much from these images, that it's like art therapy. It's like going to
Yep.
a museum and looking at it. There's no right answer. It's whatever
Mhm.
you see in that. Oh my
Exactly.
goodness. Oh,
The other
I
thing that actually stood out to me from the the character that was standing there is he's not going like this and he doesn't have his hands up. It actually kind of describes how I used to feel about fear, is just paralyzed. You're just standing there and you're seeing this thing coming at you, and you're just frozen in inaction. That's how I used to react to fear.
Yeah, and it makes me think like he's just resigned himself to like this is how it's going to be, kind of like exactly like paralyzed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So wild. Oh my goodness.
Very.
Oh, this has been so good. Thank you so much for being here, Yulia. I have enjoyed this so much.
It is my pleasure, and it looks like I am day 47. So you're halfway through your journey. Is that right?
I'm getting there. I sure am. Oh my goodness.
Can I ask what's next in store for you after the 100 days?
I do have some plans. I am. Goodness, how much do I want to share?
It's okay if it's top secret information.
Well, I have some things in store that I'm working on.
Okay.
And am working on a specific way to announce it. And so,
okay.
But yes, there are
more. In the works.
Yeah. There are some exciting things in store for me. And so I'm eager to share that when I have it all ready to share. So I appreciate you asking, though. A lot of people have told me I need to turn this into like a podcast to put on YouTube. And so I do plan to do that.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. So I would love for you to share with the viewers what you do and how they can get a hold of you if they would like to work with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And honestly, this was the bright spot of my day today. So
I'm so glad.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Of course.
Yes. So a little bit about what I do. I am a love patterns coach, and I specialize in helping women break free from repeated negative relationship cycles, any patterns that they're seeing in their relationships that, it's different people, but the pattern's the same, whether it's in dating or whether it's in, conflict situations. They struggle with being able to have tough conversations. And so that kind of causes a kind of like a merry-go-round of reactions, chain of reactions that they're noticing, and they can't seem to figure out how to stop it. That's what I do, is I help women really break free from those patterns in their lives so that they can have more fulfilling and healthy and enriching relationships. So that's what I do. And again, if there are ladies out there that are listening and they're interested in learning more, they can find more about me and my business on my website, which is just datingbyulia.com.
That is so amazing that you do that. And when you're explaining what you do, I'm thinking, how many women need this? Like, so many women, I feel like, go through this and exactly what we've been talking about. They're fearful of sharing it. They're ashamed of what they've been through because it's a pattern. That means they continue to choose it. But I feel like they just don't know how to get out of it. They just don't know how to break the cycle. And it sounds like you help them do that.
Yeah. And one important thing that I want the listeners to know, that if you're finding yourself in these patterns, it could feel hopeless at times. And it's not your fault, because a lot of the times, like, it's unconscious. It's very, very deep. And we don't even know what the pattern is. A lot of the times we might be kind of noticing, like, gosh, I keep running into the same issues with different people. And so it's most of the time it's unconscious. We have no idea like what's happening and why it's happening. And when I was in that spiral myself, it just honestly felt like I was doomed. Like, relationships or happy and healthy relationships I'm just not cut out for them. Like, it's just not my thing. And so I thought that I was going to be, alone for the rest of my life. And the thing with patterns is that the first step is awareness. Patterns can be broken, and asking for help is a very courageous and brave thing to do. That is something that's completely different. And so, we can't solve our problems with the same mindset and the same skill set that we had when we developed these issues, right? So it's actually a very brave thing to do, to ask for help and get a second opinion and some insight from someone who's been down that road.
Exactly. And when you're in it, like, you literally don't know how to get yourself out of it. Like, you have tried all the things that and they're not working. And so that's when
Yeah.
someone like you who comes in, and it's often just having another perspective of seeing things from a different lens and maybe teaching
Yes.
you a different skill of how to make things different. So I love that. I love what you do.
Yeah, and anyone that ends up looking into me, you can schedule a free clarity session with me and ask any questions about how exactly I work with women and what that looks like. So it's a free clarity call, 30 minutes. We can jump and chat about kind of what you're struggling with and see if what I have in place could potentially work for you. So I welcome those connections, and absolutely no expectations. I want to impact as many women as possible and help them in any way that I can.
Yes, I mean, I resonate with you so deeply because that's my mission too. We just want to help people. Like, we just want to use what we've been through to help other people.
100%.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I love that so much.
We do this together.
Right, exactly. We help support one another. That's one of the things I love about this series is being able to showcase people and what they do and get the word out there that you can help people. Like, you have this available to be able to help people. And here it is. This is how you reach her. This is how you get this help. And so I'm so thankful again that you chose to be here today, that you're using your time
Thank you.
to help enlighten us and to help us. So thank you again. It has been my pleasure to have you on here, Yulia.
Thank you, Amy. So excited to watch and see what your next moves are. And I'm a forever fan. So
Uh,
I'm sure this isn't the first time that we're going to be chatting.
exactly. Our paths will definitely cross down the road. I know that for sure.
Exactly.
Well, thank
Well,
you
thank
all
you
for
so
watching.
much.
Of course. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here and supporting me in all the ways. I am loving doing this, connecting with people, sharing stories. And again, if you would like to be featured as a special guest, there's room for you. I can find an emotion that will work for you, that you'll feel comfortable talking about. And hashtag 100 days, 100 emotions. That's the numerical number 100 on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Okay, until tomorrow, I'll be back with another emotion. Bye.